Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I'm really excited to be here again this year for Sara Scraps' school hop, and it has gotten so popular that she has broken it up into 3 different age categories, and I am in the high school and beyond category. I will have all the links down below for you if you want to catch any other age category and all the other hoppers on this process. So let's go ahead and dive into my high school layout. All right, I have these photos from my youngest kid this is from last year because her school program starts in mid-September, so I don't have this year's yet. And she was going into 10th grade last year, and so that is what I'm working on. This one photo, she pulled some goofy poses, and so while she's a little embarrassed about me showing those, I think she's okay if I tell you that they were purposefully goofy. All right, so I am going to do some mixed media, and I am going to start by creating a highlight focal zone to this layout with a big circle template. I just cut this circle out on my electronic die cut machine, and I use that template over and over again in layouts. So I'm going to trace it with a pencil in order for me to start this process. And this is going to involve lots and lots of useless leftover letter stickers. And I'm sure you have a supply of these too. So this is one of the things I do with leftover stickers. I tell you, I have a hard time coming up with other ideas for this, but because this is a school layout, will work well. However, a lot of these stickers are X's and Q's and Z's, so it will be a little bit repetitive, but we're going to tone it down with some gesso to kind of evenly color everything and push it back into the background a little bit more so that it is largely texture going on with this. As I place my letters down, I'm sure to put some of those letters along the edge of my circle so that I can really define that edge, and you'll see how that looks a little bit later on in the process. The other thing I'm going to do on this is use the numbers 1 and 0 to create the number 10 because this was her 10th grade start of her 10th grade school year. So I want to highlight that, and you'll see how I further highlight that as well as we go through this process. I chose lots of letters with different textures to them and different shapes to them because that is mainly what you're going to see when this layout is said and done. So I will make sure to glue all these down because, as you probably know, a lot of those letters are notorious for not sticking well. Here I am just kind of making sure I've got the number 10 in each of the 4 corners because I'm going to highlight those. And I'm filling in and moving things around with other bits and pieces so that I have a nice full layout, trimming things off sometimes as I go if I need to get that circle well defined, and so on and so forth. Now you do see that some of these letters are hanging over the edges, and I will just trim those off with scissors as I get to that. I'm still fussing with these number 10. I'm trying to make them look a little bit more random so that they're not all kind of upright when everything else is willy-nilly. So I want to make sure that kind of blends in a little bit more, even though I'm going to highlight them. So it's this balance between attention and being in the background. All right, here is where I'm trimming off my letters. Now, like, as you can see, some of those letters don't stick well and they just pop straight off. So I will glue those ones in place as I trim, and then I will take some time off camera to glue every single letter down. Well, the foam stickers actually work better than a lot of the chipboard stickers, so those ones typically don't need extra glue. But this was a process. So with that done, I am back with gesso, and I'm going to coat all of these letters with probably up to 3 coats of gesso because, like I said, I just want the texture and shape of those letters in the background. And this layout is going to be kind of a mix of a little bit of an elegant layout because of the age range that we're talking about, but because of that goofy pose she made, I'm going to throw in a little bit of whimsy as well. So this layout's trying to straddle that line as we go. So the elegant line is going to be accomplished by coating all of those letters in gesso and kind of pushing them into the background to make them a textural element. All right, this is the first coat dry. Now, as you notice, the gesso goes off the edge, and that will leave little jaggedy pieces on the edge, but those will trim off nice and easy with just a pair of scissors. And here I'm saying that I will probably do 3 coats. And I am back with those coats done, and I am trimming off those little tiny specks of the edges of the gesso, and we're ready to go. So here is my secret for more elegance and highlighting. I am just going to use my fingers and this gold, dried up gold texture paste to highlight the number 10 in each corner. And I'm going to be sure to lay out my photos so that each of those numbers will show and not get covered up. So that is how I am bringing in more elegance with the gold and the highlighting these numbers in gold. And in a moment, I will also add some gold spatters. Here we go with that. And while I don't typically enjoy using water brushes in a lot of art, it works perfectly for spattering because you can add just a little bit more water as you go to increase your spatters and keep the spattering process a little bit smoother. So I do like a water brush for that. And I let that dry off camera, and now I am ready to create the structure of my photos. Now, I did have an idea in mind about how these would lay as I went. I thought I would have my main photo down there in the right-hand corner, more separate from the rest of the photos, but you'll see how I shift that up a little bit. Before I put those photos down, I do want to get my title going because I want it to say 10th grade photo shoot, because this is both a school layout and a photo shoot. So I decided that the more important part of the title is the photo shoot part. So I moved the 10th grade part around the corner so that it's there and definitely recognizable. And now I'm going to do the photo shoot part. Now, deciding on which style of letter, do I go with something more formal, something more educational looking, something more color supporting of the photos, or something more whimsical. And I am going to choose whimsy. Pardon my cat. That's Jamie, if you don't know. He likes to join me as my crafty kitty. I know a lot of people out there have crafty kitties as well. At any rate, I have these colorful letters chosen for that whimsy element to my title. And I've got everything glued down, and I'm holding it all down with stamp blocks to let it set as I work on the photos. Now, here's a little tip I learned from Gina Kay in the stamping world, stamping and card making world, and that is to use your big rolls and put them down on spare sheets of leftover carrier sheets from other adhesive products, and that will make your scissors less gluey because you're cutting through the carrier sheets top and bottom and not so much the sticky. So I am going to add some foam to that focal photo there, so it has just a little bit more attention to it, although it's not going to be super focal. And then with this goofy photo, I'm going to add a stamped frame around it. And while I pulled out a whole bunch of school embellishments, I'm not really going to end up using them because they were too young. And so I'm trying to find that balance again between youthful whimsy and this elegant older kid layout. So I have this ruler that I'm going to stamp in gold, and that'll provide a very subtle frame to that center photo. Now, I should not have adhered that one photo down, but luckily I was able to pull it up, and I put those carrier sheets back on the adhesive so that I can position it better later without it sticking. So here is my little stamped frame on there, and that is both elegant and whimsy at the same time. I did kind of tip up that adhesive backers so that I could adhere one side of the photo and still be able to tuck my other photo underneath. And I left the little pull tabs on that backer adhesive so that I can just pull them out once I've got everything in place. So that is just a little tip for you. In case you don't already know it, that's something I like to use often. And I should have done that from the beginning, but didn't really think about it. All right, I have got all my photos in place, and I am going to do my journaling as well around this circle so I can continue to define that focal zone And underneath the photo shoot word, I am going to use my own cursive handwriting to create a little bit of a subtitle to this layout, which says, and then you pull these goofy poses or something along those lines. So I've got all of that in place, and now I can do a little bit of embellishing. And instead of using school embellishments, which are often geared towards the younger age, I'm going to use some of these older Simple Stories teen-based embellishments, and I believe, oh, I can't remember, it's totally escaping me what the name of that collection is, but I believe some of that collection could still be available out there in the world if you have a teen girl like I do. At any rate, I'm just going to add little pops of color here and there to pull in the color from the title, because I don't want that title to feel out of place with no other color on the layout. So I will add just a few pops here and there with some little phrases and some little icons that kind of have some meaning to our lives, and that is going to complete this layout for this time around. So as I leave you with some close-up photos, I will remind you to go check out all the other hoppers. And like I said before, if your kid isn't in this age range, please go ahead and find the age range that will work better for you. But this idea might even work for other elegant layouts that you may have sitting waiting to be scrapped. So I will be back later this week with more crafty videos. If you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and join me for the future videos. Until then, have an artful day.